This week on the podcast, it's all about perfection as we break down our thoughts on what makes a 10 out of 10 game in 2025. We also share our verdict on Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and ask if it's got Game of the Year potential. And on this week's Pixel Picks Showdown, things get nuclear as we name the best post-apocalyptic game. All this and more on the Pixel Parents podcast. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Pixel Parents podcast, the show that discusses all things gaming from the perspective of parents. I am your host, Liam Kirkkelvin, and today I am of course joined by the bearded one, Scott, the tastemaker. Curry, how are we, Scott?
Moist, a word that people don't enjoy. Moist or sponge, people don't like it. This fucking heat, Liam. I think we moaned about this last year when we had one day of heat and it's too much. It's far too much. It's too fucking hot. I don't mind the heat until it starts affecting sleep, and when I go to bed and it's warm as balls. But we're making do. I was telling you just off air that my dog has been farting like a madman. So we're trying to get her to poo, and she's not pooing. So it's been great. The house has become a hot box for my dog's farts and the heat. So it's just like when you fart in the shower and it stinks like worse than anything else.
That's
it's
very
kind of
true,
just like that in here.
I can't imagine it, man. You're just getting hotboxed by your dog in this sweltering heat.
It's vile. It is absolutely vile. But apart from that, generally actually pretty well. I've managed to get myself back into running, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said this before, but I'd managed to get my couch to 5k time up pretty good. And now I fell off the wagon, but we're back on it, back to doing it, and it's nice to get out and it's dry and I don't have to worry about it pissing down as I'm running. And I'm motivated to do it, so we'll see how long that lasts.
Aye.
And I've been playing some video games this week, so I'm excited to get in and chat about that.
Excellent.
But apart from that, nothing really else. What about yourself?
Yeah, same. Been a good week. I have definitely been playing them video games this week. Just really hit a groove with it. But fortunately for me, my wife has really hit a groove again with reading the books. She actually got through a book in a day, and I was just like, oh my goodness. But then I looked at the amount of hours I managed to clock in Clair Obscur that day as well, and I was like, okay. It was just, it was at the weekend, and it was one of those days where you're just getting everything done around the house, and everybody's nice and chill, and we're all just kind of doing hobbies around each other. And obviously, I had space for things in between it as well, like going outside and stuff like that. But it was nice. I don't tend to play here. I wasn't playing any Clair Obscur, but I was still able to kind of get some Astrobot and all that in, which was good. And yeah, it was good fun. But just happy to be back because there's lots to talk about. And I think this is going to be a pretty decent one this week. I say that every week we back ourselves.
I know. Every week's
week.
a decent one.
Yeah.
Apart from the first episode.
Yeah.
If you're a new listener, go back and listen to that first episode and listen to how shite we are. It's great.
Man.
I mean, we might be shite now. I might be seeing this episode. What episode are we now? Episode
58.
58.
Mm-hmm.
So episode 108. Come back to that, and if I say I'm good, then we'll see how we've changed over time. But go and listen to that first episode because we're fucking honking.
I know the aim is just to get a little less shite every single week.
Every time,
But yeah, it's I have to say as well, it's been awesome just to kind of see more people join us every week. So thank you wherever you are in the world. It's awesome to have you with us. And yeah, we hope that you agree that we're getting a little less shite every week. But I think before we get into stuff, Scott, let's just get some housekeeping out the road, shall we, before we get right in about the video games. So, of course, for those listening, this is the Pixel Parents podcast, the weekly podcast by parents who game. For those who do the same, where each week we discuss all things gaming while raising little ones. Now, if you want to be part of the podcast, come say hello and share your thoughts with us at pixelparents.bsky.social on Blue Sky, or write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear and you want to support the show, you can leave a 5-star review and, of course, share this podcast online with your friends. That, of course, really helps us out. And, of course, thank you to everybody that joins us each and every week. So with all that out the way, Scott, what have you been playing this week?
So let's not touch on the obvious one with Expedition 33 too early. I don't want to blow the load on that.
Yeah, let's get the mid carders out first. Let's do that.
Yeah, well, mid carders. How dare you? So over the Easter period, I didn't really talk about it, but I might have talked about it, and I can't actually remember. That's how bad my memory is these days. But we went to see my sister and my niece and nephew over Easter, and my niece is very, very, very obsessed with Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
Yes.
So when we actually got to the house, she was playing it on her own wee Switch. Well, I think it was her dad's Switch, but it's now become her Switch. And my sister has her own Switch Lite, a yellow Switch Lite. Where I'm like, that's a neat wee thing. But she managed to fall into the trap of seeing Animal Crossing: New Horizons, which is something that I've been trying my hardest to hide her from, because I know for a fact the minute she sees it, she's going to fall into the trap hard.
Yep.
And Liam, let me fucking tell you, she fell, and she fell harder than anyone I've ever seen before. The moment she saw it, she's like, Daddy, can we buy this? Can we buy it? And I was like, right, okay, let me see. Knowing that Nintendo prices never drop. So I checked on the CEX website, and it was like £30 or £33 or something like that. And I thought, do you know what? That's fine. Even if even if she only gets like a couple of days use out of it, then it's fine. Like I'll trade some stuff in. So I managed to trade a few games in, and I had to pay £2 for it. So, the price of entry is great now. So what we did first of all, and it really took me back to, before she was born, because Animal Crossing came out very, very either close to when she was born or just after. But it took me back to the moments where I would wake up in the morning, we'd have our breakfast and stuff like that, give her a bottle, and then she'd go down for a wee nap. And every single day before work, or just as I started work, for 10 minutes, it was always just get on there and do all your wee chores before you done anything else. But I just took a look around my island at first, and I was like, I have forgotten everything about this place. Like, I forgot all my wee islanders. I forgot, Tom Nook. Isabel was given a wee announcement when she first came on. The music, all the stuff, like having to use the long jump pole or the high jump pole to go over the water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, it was just loads of daft wee things that I'd completely forgotten about. But my island name, I was like, what the fuck? Because I remember you always telling me that you named it Lunch, but I was like, what did I name my island? Like, I couldn't remember for fucking love nor money. And for some reason, I called it Teraflop. It's like, what? Like, Teraflop?
Yeah.
So,
do you know what? I know where that would have came from. Don't forget, that was in the lead up to the release of the Series X, and that was all the patter at the time. All the teraflops and stuff like that.
It all makes sense now. It's all coming together. But no, so I took a last run around my island. It was like that scene at the end of Fast and Furious where Paul Walker and Vin Diesel are driving up that track, and it's me saying goodbye to like Axel and stuff like that in my island, being like, I'll see you later. This isn't goodbye. But deleted island is now gone, and my daughter now has her own island, which she's called Minnie because of the dog, obviously. So Minnie Island is home to her, some mad fucking sheep, and a wee deer. And I can't remember their names, but I tell you something. See, from the moment of handing her a Pro controller, like back to playing Mario, for example, it was hell. Like, it was absolute hell. And that's what we're talking about a year ago, where I handed her this controller. She's been kind of working her way up. She uses a PS5 controller like an expert now. I mean, she doesn't understand what R1 and R2 are, but she'll get there eventually. Just having to explain to her that kind of what fingers she uses to press it and stuff. But I gave her the Pro controller, and I thought she's going to really struggle with this. And it was like a duck to water, Liam. It was like she was moving around this island, picking up all the wee sticks and stuff like that for Tom Nook, and she was doing it perfectly. It's like, oh my God, this is what it's all about. Like, this is why we do this show, is like, I'm creating the next generation of gamer. She's caught her first butterfly today, and I made a post about it on Blue Sky, but you're a thought that Scotland had won the World Cup or something like that. Like the way we celebrated in this house, it was like eruptions. She was so buzzing. And it really is, it's giving credit to games like Mario or even Stardew Valley, where she was so obsessed with playing this game with me that she's become really, really proficient at actually using the controller.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I gave her the Switch at first and she's using the Joy-Cons on the controller and she's getting there with it, but she actually prefers to have controller in hand. Like, she's got the Pro Controller downstairs, the Switch in front of her. And it led to the chat, Liam. And I said this to you the other night, in that when we were leaving my sister's house, my wife was like, do you think we should buy her a Switch? And I was like, do you know, yes. I think that she would enjoy having it. I would fear, how much we'd see of her if we actually bought her, and it would then kind of become a test of screen time and managing all that and stuff as well. But if she had it, then she could go and just do it if she wanted to, like half an hour every so often, just sit in her room and play it. But it then led to this kind of conversation where my wife was like, well, why don't we just give her your Switch? I was like, well, we could do that. She could just have mine. And she's like, yeah, because you're going to buy the Switch too, aren't you? And I was like, no. Like, where are you getting this? We're flinging around these accusations. This isn't happening. Like,
she knows.
I've been a staunch, devout Switch 2 hater. H8TER. But she's just now convinced that I'm going to buy a Switch 2, which I'm not going to do it yet. And the key word here is yet. I think you're a mug for buying that day one. I think that if you want to go and play Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong fucking banana tits, then go for it, man. Go for it. I still hate Donkey Kong's fucking stupid face in it. Like, it's so annoying. Every single time I see it, I hate it. And I think they've updated it on the actual Switch console now, so now the avatar looks like that. Yeah. And I despise it.
Canon.
Yeah, and I don't enjoy it, but it's now opened up an opportunity where I could feasibly buy myself a Switch 2 without repercussions, which is great. So I'm in the market for it, but I think it will be something that it'll maybe come out. It's out in June, and I'll maybe have a look around my birthday for it, where everything's died down and everyone's stopped, shitting their pants over mouse controls and stuff like that. And we'll get there eventually with it, but for now, she's quite. I barely use my Switch, so she's quite welcome to take it whenever she wants it, and she can play it. But yeah, that's the Animal Crossing part of the show. It's just great, like actually seeing her play and enjoy this game, and it's something that she can play by herself, and she doesn't always need me there until it comes to reading anything on screen. Like there's so much dialogue in that game.
There is, yeah. Actually, I can't think of it. There is,
completely forgotten about. So I'm doing all the voices for them. Like, I'm making up voices for Tom Nook and Timmy and Tommy and stuff like that. I'm actually like, I should have a fucking acting degree here, but get me parts in a movie. But it's good. Like, it's been nice just to see her enjoy it, and I'm hopeful that if the Switch 2 ever was to pan out, that she kind of takes an interest in games following on from that. Like, we could play Mario Kart and stuff together, and she'd enjoy that as well. So that's the only thing pushing me towards it, to be honest.
There's a secret sauce here with the Switch 2 with this game share stuff. And I've said in the show many times, like, my plan is to get the Switch 2 and my son will inherit that one. Even though he plays it now, he actually plays the Switch more than I do at this point. But mainly because all the games I've beat on it, and I'm just so preoccupied with the rest. But what was it he was playing the other day? Pokemon Scarlet. He was sitting playing that. And just at the weekend there, we're sitting having hobby time, which isn't an official thing in this house. It's the best way to describe it. But he was playing Link's Awakening, and he had a shield, and he lost the shield, and I'm sitting there like, how did you do this? But then I thought, why don't we try him on Breath of the Wild? And it's the same issue that you've just talked about with Animal Crossing, is that you have to delete the save. And I couldn't bring myself to do it. So I'm like, that'll be my next step when I get the Switch to port the saves over. But you're right. I think, if it's Mario Kart World there and be able to use the Switch alongside that and all the accessories like your Pro Controllers, etc. So if you're playing it docked even, still to have that shared experience. It's that Nintendo magic. But to do a little bit of gamer math here, right, before I gear up to the inevitable here, it does make more sense for you to get a Switch 2 than it does to go spend the money on a Switch Lite at this point, because you're like, well, if you're going to give her the Switch and it's the exact same kind of path that I'm following, it does make more sense to do that because you're going to get more longevity out of it. But
more longevity out of it. No, you're right. It's something that it's really it's less for me about the Switch Lite and stuff like that. I don't think that's even come into the equation. It's just whether or not I really want to own a Switch 2, because I like for all intents and purposes, I barely fucking play my Switch. Like, you're lucky if I turn that thing on 6 times a year. Like, honestly, even now when we were playing Stardew Valley, we bought it on the PlayStation, and that's now it's now defunct on the Switch. So it's a tough one. It really depends on, like, Mario Kart Worlds and Donkey Kong aren't bite my arse. I'm not frothing at the arse to play it, but it's I just keep on talking shit here, but it's not something that I'm generally dying to play until there's that one game that comes on the console that if they were to say, look, we're the only console that's going to have Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots remastered on it, then you would get me hook, line and sinker. I'd be like, I'm there day one.
Yeah.
Like, I'll crawl to stores to buy it, but there's no game there that I'm dying to play. Like, it's just for me.
Funnily enough, I remember being in the same mindset when the Switch had released, and I remember talking to you about it, and the both of us are kind of like, it looks cool, but we'll just hold off. And it wasn't until that weekend of launch, and then it was like Breath of the Wild, because I was a little bit unsure. I was like, it looks amazing, but I'm also like, because I had been burned with the Wii U, I was very much like, I was very hesitant. And then first day after release, second day, I'm trading in an Xbox One and I'm rushing out to buy it. But I think what you're describing is the overall experience of playing what we have, which is a launch Switch. It's not like it's not a SWOLED. It's not the updated one. It's not a great gaming experience. Like, the screen's a bit crap. Games run terribly on it. Like Pokemon Scarlet, it's like running through treacle. And that's why I'm a believer in this. I'm looking at the hardware as the handheld device. And when it comes to Mario Kart World, etc., Hades 2, I've got that. I look at that as the indie machine once again. Kind of what happened with the first Switch, but you're very right. And to be like, if there's nothing there grabbing you for the launch, then don't jump in. But if you find that there's an opportunity to, and maybe your opinions may change, just based on reception or whatnot, and you could go, right, well, do you know what? I feel like it's time to dip a toe. And of course, then I get the knives and fork out for you, because it's time to eat some very succulent crow at that point, Scott, which pleases me. It's the cycle,
Chinese crow.
The cycle of Scott Curry's purchasing decisions. It's just, I can set my watch to it, and I love it.
I'm telling you, it's if I do buy this game, I deserve. If I do buy it, because I'm telling you this, I will buy a Switch too. Like, that is not the point here. The point here is I'm not going to buy it at launch. Like, I don't think it's worth it to buy it at launch. I was the same. I think I was the same with the actual Switch as well. Like, when did the Switch come out?
February 2017. I only know that because it was when my niece was born. So I remember going to getting the Switch and then going to see her for the first time.
Aye. So we, when it comes to actually, me getting my own Switch, I got it as an engagement gift from my wife. So it was something that, we went out and bought the rings. So we were out in Glasgow and we were just like, let's just go and have a look at rings. And then that was the moment. So, I mean, I'm just having a look to see when I actually got the Switch, because it wasn't on the day. We got engaged in March 2017. So I must have only bought it a week, maybe 2 weeks before that. So not long after it came out. Yeah. So I don't really have a leg to stand on that. But until something shows up on the games list, I'm not that arsed about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see this console being the console that's going to stop. Like, I'm going to buy, FIFA on it or something. I think it would be hilarious to have FIFA on a Switch if it played really well, and I might do it. But I don't think it's going to be that console. Like, it is still going to be the Nintendo console and the indie console. Do you know what I mean? Like, but everything else, like Xbox is now stronger than ever before. PlayStation they're throwing all their coins behind Borderlands. So we'll see how that all goes.
Big old question marks over there.
That's the deer in the headlights moment. But with Switch, it's very much just I don't know until something shows up, until Twilight Princess shows up in that list of games. Then I'm not going to be arsed until it comes up.
Yeah, I suppose you could always justify it to yourself with the GameCube stuff as well, but
we
shall see.
Now you're fucking talking. You're a bastard. Fucking Soul Calibur 2.
There you go.
Oh no.
There we go.
But that's a lot of money to spend to buy and play Soul Calibur 2.
I bet it's an investment with a console at the end of the day, and like you say, it's if you're in a position to do it and you feel like it's worth doing, go for it. But I mean, yeah, they're going to be there on the shelf. You'll find that they'll sell out, and the second wave of them will be there just before Santa comes, and I think that's the strategy they're going for. We'll have plenty. I know the pre-orders in the US opened up over the past week, and that was a shit show by the sounds of it. Although it didn't sound like it was.
Is that just America?
Yeah, just America. I think the volume of demand for this thing has been huge. Like, if they're doing like some type of lottery type pre-order thing, and Japan they had like over 2 million. Don't quote me on that. I'm just kind of giving you broad strokes from what I remember hearing this week, but it's potentially going to be one of the biggest console launches ever. But when you compare that to like the pandemic and the PlayStation 5 shortages, I mean, it's just a general anxiety. One thing I would say about the Switch 2 pre-order situation is I saw reports this week of people making kind of fake listings for Switch 2 pre-orders on eBay to kind of flood the market for scalpers to basically stop them from being profitable. So it's like just flooding it with loads of dummy listings, and I'm like, that's kind of genius. Because these guys ruin everything for us, whether it's a product purchase or gig tickets, you name it. So yeah, there needs to be a better way to do it. I'm not sure what that looks like, because there'll be somebody a lot smarter and getting paid a lot of money to figure that out just now. So good luck to them. But we've got there's the big topic this week, obviously. The big thing we want to talk about is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. But before we do that, Scott, because it's been a busy old week, we were actually out this week, in the past week, should I say. We were taking in some video game culture, weren't we? Where we attended PlayStation The Concert at the SSE Hydro last weekend. What did you make of it, Scott? I'm sure our listeners would die to know.
It was good. I mean, it was great in terms of the music and the visuals and stuff like that. It was a total sight to behold. It was like stepping into an airplane or stepping off of an airplane when the hydro doors first opened with, the whiff of video gamers.
Yep.
They don't make their presence unknown, but
we are part of that.
We are part of that. Yeah, my body odor is just as bad. However, it was great. Like it was a really cool experience, and it's something just a wee bit different. Like actually going in and appreciating the music, and every single I think we said this during the show. It was like you forget that these are actually people playing these instruments. Like it's not you're not just listening to like a Spotify playlist of people doing it. There are people up here actually making this music, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
My biggest gripe with it was during the beginning of the show, he was telling us all the different games that are going to show up. And this was after, a 10-15 minute entryway to fucking Horizon and every single game in that series. And he says, we've got all these games from The Last of Us, Uncharted, Bloodborne. And immediately after Bloodborne was said, my, every single hair in my body stood up. For them to only play one song. And it was like, it wasn't even one of the best ones. It was like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, what's the point in this?
Yeah.
Come on now. I didn't need the 50-minute interlude through the whole Horizon series. And I'd rather have just been gone and seen a whole Bloodborne show. But it really has just made me appreciate that there's more to video games than the actual game itself. Like now I'm playing Clair Obscur, I'm appreciating the music in that, and it's just totally heightening the experience. But yeah, it was really, really cool. What about yourself?
Yeah, same. Echo those thoughts. I loved it. With you in the sense that it was a real privilege just getting to listen and enjoy these absolute top of their craft musicians. I said this to you at the time, and I was saying it to my dad the day after. Probably the best singers I've ever heard live. Like, they were absolutely pitch perfect, and it was just two of them, and they weren't, like musical theatre type, because musical theatre singers are always shit hot, right? But there was something different entirely, and it was note for note perfect, and they were kind of comparing the night as well, backed by a band that were just so impeccable. And it was, I was thinking to myself during it, what a privilege, because it's very rarely you get to see and hear that, because I don't take myself out to orchestras very often. So it was cool. I loved the variety that was there, and same with you. It just really made me think, wow, we've lived through the from the infancy all the way to now, all these years of just iconic PlayStation moments, and the music is such a key part of that tapestry. And yeah, it was just a really nice, appreciative vibe, I think, was how I would sum it up. And do you know what? It's something that I would do again if I had the chance. And if it does, if these things do hit your hometown, it's worth going. It's a really good night 100%. Out. And it was, we weren't drinking at it. I think at first we were kind of a bit gutted, but I was also like that. I didn't miss it. It wasn't like a rock concert. It was.
Imagine being absolutely bloated and the Uncharted theme tune comes on, Liam. Like, chills.
Yeah,
that's genuinely one of the worst parts of the whole thing, though. Is it's just made me want to go back and play every single game that the music was played on. Like, the moment I heard that Uncharted theme tune, I was like, "Take me back immediately." I need to go and experience it again. The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2, I was like, "Yep, sold." Take me back and play them all over again. Even like fucking Ghost of Tsushima as well. We were talking about this in the drive home, was try to find space in the year to go back and actually kind of play through that game again before GOTY comes out. It's like just an absolute embarrassment of riches from PlayStation. And I know you said it on the night as well. Is it, did they peak with the PS4? Like, because it's just this whole lineage of games that were made on the PS4. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it really was.
But yeah, it's just, what are the next ones going to look like? Even like God of War and stuff like that as well. Like, what are the next games in the PlayStation Orchestra going to look like, in the PlayStation thingy going to come through? But it's just exciting, man. Like, it's cool. It was cool as fuck. Like, it really was just stepping out your comfort zone to do something really cool. And there was a lot of kids there. Like, I was actually quite surprised at how, because next to me, I was sitting next to a wee guy who was with his mum, and every sort of 5-10 minutes or so, she was asking him what game it was that they were showing and stuff like that as well. So I thought that was really cool. It's like the sacrifices you make as a parent to go and see stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we've all been to a fucking Blippy show, or we've all been to see like the Wiggles or something like that. Like, these are the sacrifices that you make to go to kind of enjoy something that your kids enjoy. So it was just really cool to see that parents are actually still interested in these things for their kids as well.
I mean, that was one of the darkest days my parenting career, getting dragged to a Blippy show. It was not good, Scott.
I fucking hate Blippy. I don't understand Blippy. I don't understand why there's now a new Blippy. Like,
he's basically did the Krusty the Clown thing, and he's opened up his own clown college, and it's like he has regional Krusties. That's the way I look at it.
Regional Krusties, so regional Blippies. Now there's a girl called Mika, and now there's 2 Mikas as well. It's like the fucking Blippy multiverse. Like, we've now got multiversal Blippies.
I'm on a quest to get the stones now. I need to snap them out of existence. Like, that's it. If I'm going to go full Doctor Doom, just make my own battle world. You'll understand that in a couple of years. Give it time. But yeah, in terms of the video game culture, Scott, right? Because so it's been a busy week. So I followed up that lovely, enchanting evening with yourself. The next morning, I take my son to go see a Minecraft movie. Now, my wife felt my daughter wouldn't really enjoy it, and I think she made the right call. It's definitely like right down my son's street, and went and watched it. And I went in there thinking, right, we'll go in the morning to avoid all the wee Neds and stuff. And do you know what? It was good because it was just all young kids, about his age, 4, 5, and all that. And do you know what? Not the worst video game film I've seen. I hate to admit it. I am not a Minecraft player, so I go in there with absolutely no reference points at all. So I was just taking it for face value, and it's just a decent Jack Black lark. That's what I would say. And I have to say, the music in that film, I'm walking about for days, and it's now become a thing in our house. Well, me and my son will just keep playing Steve's Lava Chicken, much to everybody else's annoyance, but we can't stop. And it's a perfectly catchy 30-second tune, and it deserves all the praise. Chicken Jockey was about 2 seconds. You've seen it on TikTok. That was it. I'm kind of perplexed as to how that became viral, but I think it's one of those Rocky Horror type things, call and response moments. But you know what? The film actually made a good attempt at having a lot of heart, and I appreciate it for it. You're not going there expecting Oscar-worthy performance, but see, as a straight up good family movie that's just a bit silly, and all it wants to do is have some fun. It does it. It has that in spades. So I'm like, yeah, it's something I'd thoroughly recommend to watch with your family. You probably won't enjoy it if you're going to sit and watch it. It comes on Netflix in 6 months' time or something like that, and you're watching it on your own or in the presence of another adult. You're probably going to be like, not sure, but you need to kind of get in that silly frame of mind. And yeah, it's not like I've been in the pictures with him to see other stuff, and it was not the worst trip that I've seen. And it's also way better than the Borderlands movie, which is still the biggest pile of dung that I've had to endure. That might actually be worse than the Super Mario Brothers movie, the original, not the animated one. But yeah, just wanted to touch on that anyway, in case any listeners are out there have seen it or are curious about it.
Frothing to go and see the Minecraft movie, then there's your 2 cents and why you should go and see it.
A solid 6 out of 10, I would say, and that ain't bad.
Cinema's fucking back, baby. Everyone's talking about Sinners. Everyone's talking about the Minecraft movie. Fucking, we're here for it now,
That's it.
I've not seen either of them. I'm going to go and see the Thunderbolts with you tomorrow.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Because obviously I'm the biggest Florence Pugh fan in the world. And yeah, there we go.
When we're entering that now, it's very much the video game era of cinema and TV. Obviously, The Last of Us Part 2 is absolutely been a cultural juggernaut. You've got the split fiction news through the week with Sydney Sweeney. It seems to be like this is going to be the new big, blockbuster trend, which is video game properties. And do you know what? It's time. I think the superhero films have had their time in the sun, and I say that as somebody that's not fallen out with the MCU. Still a lot of quality there, even though I did watch Captain America Brave New World at the weekend. I didn't really enjoy it. But again, I'm a comic book fan, so I'm like, the way I look at the MCU and stuff like that, these films are now being made for nerds like myself, as opposed to the wider populace, whereas video game movies are at that point now, they're stepping out, technology's caught up, and it means more. And to bring it full circle round, it's like, you think back to that 30 years of PlayStation, that lineage, it's no longer like something throwaway to just make a wee small payday. It's like, no, movie studios are going to be putting big budgets behind it and expecting, billions back. Minecraft movies almost touching $1 billion, Mario movie over $1 billion, etc. So The Last of Us is obviously getting all the flowers. So it's a good time. It's a good time to be a video game fan.
And see, if you really wanted to go back and listen to any one of our episodes that talk about movie tie-ins, episode 20 and episode 21 are perfect fucking for you.
There we go.
Reviving the movie tie-in for video games.
Yeah.
And, maybe back then, a certain Scott Curry was talking about putting Sydney Sweeney in every single video game movie. Or maybe he wasn't, I didn't know who Sydney Sweeney was until this week. So that's been fun to learn about Sydney Sweeney.
Not a Euphoria fan?
No, not particularly. So, yeah. We need to have another conversation about that, though, because video game movies are so in vogue right now. So
I think so.
Let's put that on the docket.
Yeah,
and get it in there.
It's time. I think now it's time to deal with the mid card parts of the road. Let's talk about the big thing this week, because what we've both been playing, Scott, is of course Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Right off the bat, have you finished it yet, Scott?
No, I am I believe I'm probably near the end of Act 2.
Okay.
And I'm on a downward spiral, physically, mentally, and emotionally on this spiral, and cannot get back up. I know you have finished it. You fucking blazed through it like a
Yes.
madman.
I did blaze through it. The stars aligned for me. Right, that's all I'll say. Stars aligned, and I managed to get through. I got through Act 1 in the first 24 hours. I just absolutely blazed it. I mean, Act 1 wasn't particularly long, but for me, I was like, oh, that's not bad. Because I'm much more. I'm the slower out the two for sure. But I will say, we're not going to be discussing anything that you wouldn't have seen in the trailers, but story-wise, we're going to keep it under wraps. There'll be zero spoilers on this. We're just going to really be talking about the game, general impressions, and I will, of course, give it a score as I finished it. Scott, I would be intrigued to see what your thoughts are, but to put the gauntlet down right now, I think for me, I'll kick it off. Off the bat, I would give Clair Obscur Expedition 33 a 10. I would give it a 10. And I thought about it. Is it a 9? Is it a 10? For me, it's a 10. Which I tried to dig out what our scale actually meant. And in fact, that means 10 is a must play. I thought, 9 is outstanding, 10 is a must play. Is this something that I tell people that you must play this? Yes, it is. I do think that this, I walk away thinking it's just something, it's a really special, remarkable game. One that it was just a total pleasure to play, start to finish. And here's a big one for me to sum it up. I haven't felt this way about a new game since playing Batman Arkham Asylum in 2009. I have that same feeling playing this, and it's become a game experience that was just so special. And I think, a new series is born. Très bien, all the rest of it. C'est magnifique, whatever I want to say, because it was very French, of course, as you'd expect. But for me, it was just a total package game. It's exciting and fun combat. The gameplay was just outstanding. The graphics are amazing with Unreal Engine 5. But it was just, I felt that it was still done. It was simple and confident. It had a real clear sense of its own identity and a mature story that totally got me invested in this world and characters. And, by the end, I just felt like I went on this journey and it was all worthwhile. And that to me is always what they're looking for in terms of something that we've seen a few trailers, we've seen the kind of Xbox Developer Direct, we've spoke about it, in episodes past, is like, this looks like it could have the sauce, but with an element of hesitancy because it's a debut, and you're like, right, I went in thinking at best might be like on the 8s scale, but I now understand why it's become the highest rated game of the year so far. And for me, I can't. I'm excited about it. It's a 10. It's a 10 all day long for me. But I've got other thoughts in terms of each part, but I don't want to dig into that yet. I just want to kind of get, what's your general thoughts on where you're up to with it? What's your feelings
Where
on
I
it
am
so
now?
far? Yeah.
I mean, I'm sort of verging on a 10, to be honest with you. From what I've played, it does everything that a turn-based RPG is supposed to do, and it does it really fucking well. It has all the tropes that you'd expect from games like Final Fantasy X or games like Persona and stuff like that. Like, if you've played those games, you know what you're going to get with this. It's adding in all the aspects of like the parry systems and stuff like that. Like that's the point where it gamifies the mundane parts of the turn-based RPG, where it really does. You could be on the hardest fight in the game, but you hit a parry at the right time and you feel like fucking God, and you manage to get through the fight. I sent you a
So
video
good.
last night when I'd done it, and it was like the greatest moment ever. It was phenomenal. But it really does gamify that mundane part of it, which is excellent. For me, it starts at the start of the game, and you hit it really well. Is that it knows its identity and it's very clear about it, and it's very open about what to expect from Act 1, Moment 1, where you see, the gommage, You know, like you get to see what that is. That's not a spoiler because what the fuck is a gommage? I pop every single time I hear it because it's the best word that I've ever heard in my life.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But you get to experience what this is, and it's heartbreaking. Like it's fucking brutal. Like the game
really
does
is.
not shy away from some of these moments, and it happens throughout the story where you're like, why? Like, what the fuck is how? Why is this like this? Why is it making me feel things?
Yeah,
And it's really good with that. And with you, you know, it's combat and stuff like that. They're incorporating, you know, elements like Persona and stuff is brilliant. Touching on the music and stuff as well. It's just constant throughout, and it really does act as like, you know, such a key part in making this game feel quintessentially French. And you know, it ups the ante when it needs to up the ante. Like some of the music in it, I'm like trying to. I've found the Spotify playlist on my phone, so I've now got it on my phone and listening to the beach songs as much as humanly possible because they're just so good. It's
in terms of like what you've touched on there, because I think let's dial it back a bit to the story part. And I know you're only in Act 2, but it's like the way that it's making you feel, and you've hit the nail on the head. Like you're asking why, you know, why am I feeling this way? Because there's a melancholy throughout the whole thing. But it's that breadcrumb effect throughout the whole story that's pushing you on. Me, like that was why I devoured it so fast, because I was like, it was a bit like binging a TV show or something. So I need to know. Like people have to know.
It's like watching that film. I try and remember this film every single time, and it's really funny because I always forget the name of it, and that would be basically the whole kind of point of what like the actual movie itself is memory. Memento by Christopher Nolan, where you're moving back and forth and you're getting to see things that have happened or things that are happening, and it's like, what? Like what is this? Like and the characters and the ambiguity of it all. Like I'm trying to be ambiguous with this conversation because I don't want to throw out, you know, major spoilers, but the ambiguity of every single character in that game, because they all have a past and they all have, you know, they all have reasons for being there and the reasons why they are the way they are, and you learn that. Like you if you take the time to do it, you learn why these characters are the way they are. I like the whole concept of, you know, the past, like learning about the past in ways like that's really interesting, and the way that they do that and breadcrumb that throughout really does add flavor to it all. But with the story, it's very much like I feel like I know, not now, right? But in general, I feel like I sometimes feel like I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it completely flips it on its fucking head, and I'm like, no idea what's happening anymore. Like, and that's what you want from a video game. Like, you want to be constantly put in this place where, what is going on? Like, why is this all happening?
Yeah, and they do, like, they spoil you with, you know, plot developments and story beats. You know, the writing in this game, I said the word melancholy, because there's a mature sadness to it, but there's also, they retain this sense of wonder throughout it all. There's moments in there that'll make you laugh, they'll make you cry. There's also moments that are hype as all hell. And the comedic aspects in there are done so well. It's not like a Marvel film. It's like a thoughtful, classy kind of humour that's sincere. There's a real sincerity, and that's through the power of the characters. But they're always peppered in at the right moments, just to add that little hint of levity to what is a more somber tale that's been told. And I think I walked away from it feeling very satisfied. And I'm with you. Like, when you're all the way through it, you're like, right, I think it's going to do X, it's going to do Y. And that always just left me feeling satisfied in the tale. Like, I was so happy to be along with them in the journey, and I was blown away by it, because I'm like, I was not really expecting going into it. So I was expecting it to be like, right, is it going to be like other kind of RPGs that the world is really just the setting, and you're probably going to just like, who's the quirky one, who's this, you know, like wee side missions to kind of get to know them. They do this, and I think the way that they've taken a much more condensed approach, in terms of let's just tell our story. Let's just do that. And then they do give time for characters to breathe within that. Everybody gets the little moment to shine and everybody feels there for a reason. As opposed to, I think other RPGs can be guilty of having kind of blink and you miss it characters, or right, we need to have some comedic relief, so let's just add this really goofy person in. And it's like they've just found a way to take all these influences that have made this game up and just so masterfully just put it together in a way to tell their own thing and create something new and special, which is great. And on that note, I suppose when you talk about the influences, and you mentioned it before, the combat. So I will say off the bat that I had become Drew Barrymore during this game, because it's the turn-based combat, which we all know and love. So you mentioned like Persona, Final Fantasy, even things like Octopath Traveler, for example, or the Yakuza Like a Dragon. There's an edge to this as well, and it's not the first time you've seen it in a video game, but it's deliciously addictive with this parry and dodge system that they've baked into it. They talked a lot about this on the developer directs, and I remember just kind of it going over the head like, all right, that's cool, but instead of like in a turn-based RPG, you select attack and items like you would in any other one, but the addition of this parry dodge mechanic just kind of adds this wonderful sense of this kineticness to each fight. So it's like you need your hands on the controller. I can't remember what game it was recently I was talking about on the show, and that was a plus point for me, is that you don't want to put the controller down, because we're all guilty of it, second screening. And it's like, not in these fights, you're paying attention to everything because you're wanting to maximize the success in the game and learning your enemy patterns. So like you mentioned, that video you sent, when you pull off that parry or the dodge, you feel like a god. You're like, oh, it's so rewarding, and it's those little moments, and it's earned. Because if there was a moment where it's like, I've buggered up the time in there, but instead of me going, oh, this is annoying, putting it down, it's like, next time, baby, hit me with that again, another. It's like you're parrying it away.
All right, Britney Spears.
Honest to God.
It is. You're absolutely right, though. The one thing I would say, and it's it's to its own detriment, is that I wish, and I listened to an episode of a podcast that said this, and see, when I went back to it, I was like, no, but that would just ruin the whole experience. But since I've been like, yeah, it would be good to have something where, like, a quick restart of a battle or something like that.
Yes,
like, if you fuck up a parry and a couple of your characters die, you can get through it, and it's fucking amazing as all hell. It's so hype where you've got one character taking on like 3 different people and you manage to get through it. It's like, yeah, I mean, I am the expeditioner now. However, even just like a wee quick restart to say, like, I fucked this up, can I just jump back to the beginning of the fight to do that?
Yeah,
it would have been welcome. But I also think that you then rely on that too much. So there's part of me that's like, yeah, I would be all for it, but part of me is also like, when you fuck it up, you feel and you sit with that until it's over, and then you know how to come back better. So there's part of me that's kind of, I'm not 100% sure about it, but I'm with you, man. Like, I not with the dodging. I mean, I don't think I've dodged since the tutorial, because I'm parrying fucking everything. I'm even trying to parry like jump attacks and stuff like that, even though I know I shouldn't. Like, I'm trying to parry everything, everything that exists. Throw it at me. But it's just excellent. Like, it does similar things to what the game Lost Odyssey done as well. When you're doing attacks, like, you've got timing and stuff like that and stuff as well. So there's loads of inspirations around. And the fact that this is their first fucking game like this, it's outrageous. That
is insane.
Ridiculous.
That is insane. I should add as well, though, don't doubt the dodge, because sometimes that comes in handy. Like dodge, jump, and parry. There's moments where it's like you're physically dancing, and it's just to get some. What I found is there's 1 or 2 fights where 1 or 2 attacks from an enemy or two, where I think it's trying to get you to do it. Or there's certain attacks which they are clearly like dodge them. And I'm like, right, okay, because it took me a while to settle into that, because I was like, I'm only having to do parries, and yeah, it's outrageous that this is their first game. Like,
their first game,
outrageous.
And they've made a game that I've heard the word Putan more.
Yeah.
Putan more than I've ever heard it before in my life. And it's now going to be part of my fucking vernacular because it's great. I love it. I love it all. And I just want to live in France and, shoot monsters in the face.
What a fantastic country. I would go back there in a heartbeat. But in terms of like a love for France, when it comes to like their characters, it is pretty much like they're all deep rooted within a French connection, I suppose. But the characters in this game, man, like you fall in love with them quickly. Don't. It's not something that's like, oh, you need to finish the game. It's like, no, it's like by midway through Act 1, you're going to feel that sense of connection because they're all so well written and they feel fleshed out, and there's not too many, which I think is a plus. I think it's a failing, as I mentioned earlier, of other RPGs, but you've got like Poster Boy Gustave, you've got Mael, you've got Looney, you've got Scale, you've got more in there as well. And in the end, like, you just really grow to love them. Like, the more time you spend with them, and that's always the hallmark of a good RPG. That's not unique to this game, but it's a good RPG when by the end of it, it's like, yep, I've spent a lot of time with you guys, and this is great. We're all pals now. This is great. It's fantastic, and it's a testimony to the writing because it's not an easy thing to do, but there's that opportunity to engage with them in the quieter moments outside the main campaign. Does add more to it. It's not too much, but it's enough to kind of spark that affinity for characters and learn 100%. More about them, which is great.
That's been some of my favourite moments in it, is that you get to experience life before the expedition and stuff like that as well, because from moment one you're just thrown in and like told to go, whereas you seldom get the opportunity to learn about who these people were in their past and stuff as well, and it does an excellent job of doing that, like of teaching you all about that as well. So 100%, and that also gives fucking credence and applause for all the voice actors and stuff as well.
Oh yes.
I mean, Ben Starr has the vocal range of Ben Starr. Like that man has the same voice in every single game, and I love it because he's just excellent. But everyone else, like Charlie Cox, Andy Serkis,
oh man, so good.
All the other characters and stuff as well. Like it's just Jennifer. Is it Jennifer English? I think it is, or something like that.
Shadowheart.
Yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous. So it's an embarrassment of riches there.
God, it is.
You'd think having a voice cast like that it's too many cooks in the kitchen, but they all play off each other. They all play off each other so fucking well, and it's just like, how does this work so well? How does it work so well?
There's such like a sense of restraint in a good way, which you can tell it's a really good performance. Like they're not overacting it. If there's having to be like a quiet beat or something sincere, it feels real. Like the performance of everybody in this game is an absolute 10. And like you had mentioned, with the cooking reference there, I love one. This game, I suppose, or the characters, like any good dish, I suppose you can achieve so much more by being simple and not adding in too many ingredients. And I think Clair Obscur just is the embodiment of that when it comes to the characters, the writing, the performance, the delivery of them all. And you're right, like Ben Starr, like I was skating about that the other day. I'd listen to that man read the dictionary. You know what I mean? It's got one of those voices. And Charlie Cox,
I think he probably fucking would as well, to be honest with you.
He would as well, he definitely would. He's up for anything, which is good. He's a good sport, as I say, but I have to touch on it, as you'd mentioned previously, like the music and the world. Now, Lorient Testard is the guy that's composed the soundtrack for this. One of the best video game scores I think I've ever heard. I mean, I'm not sure. I think they might have discovered this guy through SoundCloud, which is fucking madness and also amazing. And
that's
again,
amazing, eh?
It's like he's this the whole thing. Every element of this game, and the music is the same here. It's reassured and it's aligned with a clear vision and direction, and it all supports this identity of the game. And the music's just masterful. That you'll be singing it for ages when you're not playing, and it weaves in again the moments of sadness, the joy, the laughter, the hype, and euphoria in a way that I've not heard in ages. And it's that same feeling I had when you heard like the Celeste soundtrack for the first time, or the God of War 2018 scores. knocked it out the park. And as for the world, because this is all the creative aspects on top of it, which just helps knit it together so well, it's an instant classic, fully realised in a absolutely gobsmacking beauty, thanks to Unreal Engine 5, again, clear sense of place and identity and scale as well, which I wasn't expecting. Like, some of the environments in this make you feel tiny, which is great.
Yes.
It's all just done so well. I would say the only downside with it, in terms from the graphical perspective, is, and it's probably more so with yourself, is to do with the gamma situation in terms of the darkness.
Fucking Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
I can't sort it. Like, every single time I put this game on, it's either fucking too dark or too bright. Now, I understand from an artistic point of view, there's fog or there's smoke, and that's fine. But there was a point in a fight last night, and I had a big boss fight where it's doing one big, stupid, massive attack, and I literally could not see anything. Like, it was black. And I was like, what the fuck am I looking at here? And just managed to, like, see the character come down and parry it at the right moment.
Yeah.
But it was like, there needs to be a way, like, most games now will have a picture or I'll show you like an image on the screen where if you're fixing the brightness or fixing the gamma or something, it will show you how it looks on that screen. This doesn't. Like, you go in and change it, you come back and say, oh, it looks a wee bit too dark. You go in and change it again. Nah, it's a bit too bright now. So honestly, about 3-4 times in every single zone, I'm in that menu, hitting that up and down because I've no idea what I'm looking at for the most part. That's one of my own gripes with it. One other gripe that I'd have, just while we're here, is obviously as you move through the story, you do pick up not really side quests, but it's like wee things that you can do in the world.
Yeah.
And I wish there was a way that reminded me what those were. Like, it's some of them are, go to a place and pick this thing up and bring it back, and it's really close, and you're just still in that mindset of you remembered what it was. But other times it's like I'm picking up items and I've no idea what they have to do with it. I wish there was just something that would remind me that there's something to do with this.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it feels like that's been a big decision, though, hasn't it? Like,
there's
no HUD.
It feels like, the key point is the expedition and the end goal of that, and these are all just sort of, these are all just herbs and spices to the overall dish of Expedition 33. But even just like a tiny, even just like you've got a notebook, even just in the notebook, just giving you a wee thing that says this is, met this character, remember this or something like that, like just to give it a wee bit more to it. But to be honest with you, it's nitpicks. Like the other things that I have are really nitpicky. So to be honest with you, it's not worth mentioning.
I mean, I think for me, I think it aided the experience in terms of it's very streamlined, and you're right. The lack of HUD, I think you have to press Y to get a basic semblance of a HUD, just to kind of remind you of your main objective. And at first, I was kind of like pressing start, looking for like a journal or something that wasn't there, and I could go back and there's been loads of stuff that I've missed in there, which I'll be more than happy to go back and play. But you're right. I think there's been a clear decision there, and I think it aids it because that's particularly when you look at the JRPG influence in particular. I think it can be overwhelming. We've all played those games where it's just even like Pokemon, for example, as a JRPG, that can be overwhelmed with the amount of information you're getting. Clair Obscur is very to the point, which I think is great. And the influences here are wide. You mentioned that it's taking bits from Persona, Final Fantasy X, even like it's a God of War, Dark Souls. There's even a wee bit of Zelda peppered in there, I would say, as well. But despite that, I would say that it's not like a totally derivative experience. It's what's most impressive is just how it's so confidently used them to create something of its own that stands on its own. And what is, I think, has become an essential RPG experience. Also, shout out to some of the characters or people you meet in this game. I'm not going to name them, but they're like so Mighty Bush. Like, even that's another influence. Like, I was pissing myself laughing.
Very Mighty Bush, aye.
And
it is true though. Like, one of those things that you mentioned in terms of it's doing its own thing and it's doing it really well and stuff. But the one thing we haven't mentioned, Liam, and it's complex if you want to make it complex. But what does make this game complex as all bloody hell is trying to understand the relationship between Pictos and Luminous.
Yes.
As a seasoned, RPG player, I get it and I get the point of it all. But see, trying to manage that over 4, 5, 6 different characters, it is a bloody nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, it comes in more handy the further the game you get into it, and to the point where I was like, right, I do a second run, and I'll have a much more better understanding of it. But it got me through a few, towards end game encounters. I was like, right, they're going to be using this type of ability, and basically, a few Pictos are like abilities that you'll get throughout the game, and there's it's more than dozens of them. There is so many.
There's loads of them. Yeah.
By the time
they're more permanent abilities that you'll have if you equip them. Yeah. And then if you equip them for 4 fights, they become passive abilities that you can equip using Luminas. So Luminas are basically just currency that you use to pay to use these permanent abilities permanently, and then you can equip different ones. It's saying that out loud. It's confusing as balls, and it's one of those things where it'll make sense when you play it. Like it'll make total sense. Yeah. And the frustrating thing is, you do have to interact with it. Like I found myself really later on in the game where I had Mael had level 3 Pictos, and I was like, why do you have this? Like, why have I never changed this fucking thing? Yeah. So then I changed it, and it's just completely flipped the whole game in its head. And I'm now doing attacks where there's certain things happening when I'm doing attacks, and it's like, yep, that's exactly what I want to have here happening. So it's cool as all hell, and it does make sense, and it really does. Your combination or your composition of these Pictos and Luminas will be completely different to mine, which is awesome. So
I love that about it. Love that because it's all about playstyle, and that system in itself. Once I got my head around it, because at first I was kind of like battering through to the point where I was just like, oh no, I really need to stop and take a breather here, because I was doing the leveling up weapons, changing the skills, etc. Because there's a skill tree for each character as well, we should add, but which will give you different kind of skill based attacks. But you're right, it totally changed the game, and there was some characters that I must admit the best thing about it is I didn't really have a 3 main. Like there's definitely 3 characters that I would pick more than the others, but I found myself flexing between them a lot just based on the situation, and also I was happy to, because I'm like, yeah, I've used them for a bit, I'm just going to change this up a wee bit. What I was playing in Act 1 differed towards to the end of the game, and all the way through it, which was great because that sense of variety and changing it up, I didn't feel like there was a weak link. I actually felt like, man, I wish I could use them all in a party, like a switch up ability or something like that. But
that's how you know it's good, though. Yeah. It's like playing Final Fantasy X and just switching through all the different characters all at once. It's like, yeah, this is the way this game is meant to be played, but you always have your favourites. I have to admit, I have a favourite 3. I really do. There's one character that I do not use, and it's just because I don't understand how to use them, and I can't be trying to figure it out. I now understand the characters that I've got, and I've got a routine where if I do this, I can do that, and I can do this, and I do that, and that's it. The game is over. But it's very much cut and dry with what I'm doing. But yeah.
I mean, all I would say is, avoid spoilers at all costs, and just please play this game. We'll come back to it next week because you'll be finished it by next episode, and it'll be really interesting to hear your final thoughts on it, Scott. But yeah,
we'll do a spoiler cast on Expedition 33.
God, man, absolutely nobody would listen to that at all. Like, God love the person that's going to do that, because it's just like, nah. Like, I don't understand spoiler casts within the first 6 weeks of a game release. I just don't understand it.
Especially more recent games.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. We talk about the whole thing about respecting time and all that, and it's very much a viewpoint from within the bubble. I've flew through that game. You're flying through the game. The vast majority of people are going to probably be taking their sweet ass time with it, and they'll probably be playing it by Christmas. But I think there's some major story beats, and that I would just say it is worth avoiding spoilers. So I'm not really too sure how you do it on Blue Sky, but if you see the YouTube thumbnails and that, just shut your eyes and scroll past it, because it really is. If there's certain things in this game get spoiled for me in terms of as you play through it, and it's like anything else. If you see something, a snippet of a picture or whatnot, your mind puts it together very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there are moments like that you really don't want ruined. So no, I'm with you. Just ignore it all. Block everything. Block everyone on Blue Sky. If anyone's playing it, then block them. Block everyone on Blue Sky and just don't talk to anyone.
Aye, it's a very anti-social media approach. But yeah, we'll come back to it next week. As I mentioned, but in the meantime, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 gets a 10 from me, and that leads me on to our main topic this week, believe it or not, over an hour into the show. This week, we thought, with all the buzz and hype, that's been going around, the main topic this week is really what makes a 10 out of 10 game. Because I thought it was a good opportunity for us to talk about it, because Clair Obscur came along, it's blown critics and gamers away, and it's become the highest rated game of 2025, which, fair to say, it's a pretty rare moment, seeing everybody in the community just be so positive in a game, let alone a debut, as we'd mentioned. Mm-hmm. So I thought it'd be good to dig into it and give people a bit of insight into really what does a 10 out of 10 look like these days for us, in 2025. What does that look like? Off the bat, Scott, and this again, I will add the caveat, reviews are totally subjective. So really, we're just talking about insight into both of us individually, because what makes a 10 out of 10 for you won't be the same for me and vice versa, and that's the beauty of it. For you, Scott, though, I'm intrigued, because it's not really something we've not pulled on this thread too often, but...
No, it's really not. It's not really something I've ever thought about as well, to be honest with you. It's not something I've really had to think about until we started doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Because, review scores are arbitrary. It really depends on what you like. What you like. But before I even thought about what makes a 10 out of 10 video game for me, I actually went and had a look at, in the last 5 years, what are some examples of 10 out of 10 video games that I enjoyed?
Yeah.
So I looked on the IGN website and I was like, what are some of those games? Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
For you, potentially Forza Horizon 5.
Yes. I wouldn't give it a 10, but yeah. Deathloop.
Yeah. Maybe not a 10 out of 10 for me, but it was given a 10 out of 10 for them.
Yeah.
The Last of Us Part 2.
I'd give it a 10, yeah. Give it a 10.
Overwatch. Persona 5 Royal. Persona 5 Royal was one of them. And there was also shout outs to things like, Red Dead Redemption 2, Mario Odyssey, God of War 2018, and one of your personal favourites, Liam, Celeste. So,
yeah.
It was very much, these are all games that on the surface are all wildly different. And that's testament to, there is no one size fits all. There's no, this is the formula that makes the 10 out of 10 game for people.
Yeah.
And, before I get into what makes a 10 out of 10 game for me, it's also very much like when I hear someone give a game 10 out of 10, I'm like, is it fuck? No, it's no. You're talking absolute fucking dog shit. Like, nothing's 10 out of 10. Like, the perfect game. But it really just, for me, it really just comes down to the experience that I have with playing it. It doesn't always have to be the perfect game. It doesn't have to always play perfectly or look phenomenal, or, it doesn't always have to be free to play or a fucking AAA title. It might just be something stupid that I think is excellent. Like Elden Ring, for example. Now, for me, I think that game is a 10 out of 10, and it's a 10 out of 10 for the experience that I had with it.
Yeah.
I actually don't enjoy playing Elden Ring though. Like I hate playing that game with a passion, because it's a pain in the arse to play.
You're about 300 hours deep, to be fair, but
exactly, no, exactly. But that's because I'm playing it with you. Like it's the experience of playing it with you, like that makes it a 10 out of 10 experience for me. Things like Overwatch, for example, on that list as well. Like there's no way that game's a 10 out of 10, but it's a 10 out of 10 for the experience that I had with playing it. That year it came out. I remember getting a t-shirt when it came out that still fit me, and it was brilliant. Like it was brilliant. It was made with heart, it was made with soul, and it really did make you feel that you were swept up in this whole hero shooter vibe that was so in at the time. But for me, a 10 out of 10 experience is just vibes, to be honest with you. Like it might be the culmination of a series that I've wanted for a very long time, like a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It might be, I'm trying to think of games that I've played in the last year that I really enjoyed. It might be like a return to Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and just the way that makes me feel while I'm playing it. Maybe reappreciating Grand Theft Auto 4 in a different light, like that. It really depends on when and how I'm playing it. But for me, a 10 out of 10 is really just vibes. Like, as I say, it doesn't always have to be graphically superior. Like, I don't have to be looking at every single pixel on screen and literally shitting myself at the fact that there's a million things running about the screen that are making me, scared for my life. But it is just very much like, how do I feel at that moment, and what am I gaining from it? Like, is it respecting the time that I'm putting into it? Do I feel like I'm getting value for money over this? And am I enjoying it? Like, if I'm enjoying it, then that's immediately got an 8. But the extra 2 points that push it over the edge are arbitrary. But it's a really stupid and this is not a dig against our own topic of the podcast, because I don't want to shit on the work that we do here. But 10 out of 10 and review scores and stuff like that are so stupid. Like, it's so stupid. But it gives devs, and it gives people who make games, the Will Smith pointing thing, like that, like the big picture frame. Like, it's just that this is the work that we've done, and this is why it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I sat and I had a good long think about it, because ultimately, arbitrary is the word. For me, a 10 out of 10, it's something that I was like, how's the best way I can break this down for myself? Because it's a really good kind of exercise in terms of, like, to clearly explain what we mean by it. In our scale, when we set that out last year, it just simply means must play. It's not perfect. It's not about the pursuit of perfection, because that's a fool's errand, but it's something that clearly demonstrates just something special in its execution. It's simple. What I mean that is, even on the technical level, it's like, is the gameplay engaging? Is it satisfying? Is it addicting? Is it clear in its vision of the gameplay loop? Do the mechanics serve it well? So, like, Mario's a platformer. Is the mechanic of jumping executed in a way that complements it and enables the overall gameplay well? If so, does it do it as well as I want it to? Because a lot of games, pretty much every game will do it all right. Some games do it better than others. And I use that as an example because it's like, I don't even think about it. It works as my brain is telling me that this should work in the moment. If so, then the answer is that it serves that aspect, and I can take that into account with making a judgment for me. And this is an approach I've taken through the years whenever I've been given the opportunity to review games. But presentation is also important. Probably less, well, I wouldn't say less so now, but it's different now. Back in the day, it was like, oh my God, look at these graphics. And that did give it a certain weighting. But not everything has to be the uber realistic graphics, but do the graphics serve that artistic vision and direction?
Yeah.
I'll look at Celeste, for example, a game I think is a 10 for me, in another style. This might have not presented as well, and it could have hindered the vision of that game. And the same goes for the likes of The Last of Us. The presentation decision can have a huge impact on what I would say is a 10 for me. You flip those styles about, it's a very different end product, and then it ultimately
Celeste for The Last of Us art style would be hilarious.
And it means that it has a huge impact on the experience, which has a massive impact on how you feel about it, and the artistic elements as well. Like the music, voice acting, the font. I'm a stickler for font, Scott. That.
Yeah, I love a font.
That impacts my experience. If there's a crisp, lovely, nice font in there, I look for that elements in what I'd say is a 10. And as these all add up to that complete package experience. So does it all complement each other well? In terms of the secret sauce, sometimes that's what it is. And the key word you used earlier was vibe. The overall vibe of a game is essential for something that you walk away thinking, man, that was a 10 out of 10 experience. And sometimes you can get everything right, and it might just be too polished. It might be too perfect in that sense, There needs to be something about it just to give you that feeling of it being special, In terms of, like, criticisms aspect of it, is important, I think, when it comes to a 10 out of 10, because a 10 still has flaws. We spoke about it there with Clair Obscur. Well, for me anyway, a game I've just given a 10, but it's like, yeah, well, nitpicks, there's flaws within that game because it's not perfect. It's so important because no game or artistic creation can ever be perfect. You know, we're not scoring for that. But despite all that, do you walk away basically saying, is it demonstrated something to you as an individual subjectively that is special? You know, and that subjectivity can be summed up, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure, isn't it? You know, I love that kind of thinking because it's true, because it keeps you grounded in the sense that just because you might not like something or it didn't really resonate with you, someone else is going to see that as like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know, I'm really trying to think of an example, but I suppose if I come back to food, we could both eat the same hamburger and I could go, man, that was absolutely amazing. 10 out of 10. You go, it's a bit shite. I prefer Burger King. You know what I mean? It's just, we all have different tastes, is the point I'm trying to make.
It is true. Yeah,
it
is true. You're 10 out of 10. I'm trying to think of a game that we've like both played, but both had like, you know, arguably very, very different feelings and emotions on.
Death Stranding.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually thinking like of Assassin's Creed or something like that as well, like Odyssey or something as well. Like it's just how you feel about it and what you appreciate in a video game and stuff like that as well. And as you say, sometimes it's just wrong place, wrong time. Like you could play could play a Death Stranding in 3 years' time and fucking fall in love with it, and it's a 10 out of 10 experience. Sometimes time heals all wounds for people, and an 8 out of 10 is maybe a 10 out of 10 in 2 years' time because the game industry is fucking dying on its arse. So we're all having to go back and play old games because we've got backlogs, and
Age of the
game
Log.
developers are killing every single person that exists.
Yeah.
We're all going to die. But,
please don't.
You know, no, please don't. But it's just things like it is that though. Like, I don't want to shit on all this because it's a really cool conversation to have, but there are obviously, you know, there are obviously things that you can do to make a 10 out of 10 game, but I don't think you can go into the process of being, this is going to be 10 out of 10. Like, sometimes it is just games that just do it and do it well. Like a Celeste, like they weren't making that game off the back of wanting to be a 10 out of 10 game. The reason why it's 10 out of 10 is because the people that make it loved making it and they made it for a reason. Like games like Disco Elysium and stuff like that, for me, like that game is fucking 10 out of 10, and it's not from a gameplay standpoint, because I think the gameplay is annoying, but it's the energy and the dialogue and the personality that it has. Like everything that it displays is just made from people who love that sort of thing. Like sometimes it's just enthusiasm for it, like Expedition 33, for example. Like they were obviously really, really enthusiastic and loved making this game, that it shows, and it really does have that personality. One of the ones that, you know, I'm kind of on the fence on is with Blueprints. Now, it's not a game that you finished, not a game that I finished, but
nearly.
It is a fucking nightmare to play. Like I hate every moment of it. The minute I turn that game on, I'm like, oh fuck! Here, CG at the beginning of fucking Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, like, oh shit, here we go again. Every single time I have to restart a run, and it is just, you know, I hate every moment of it. And I can feel the blood boil in my hands as I'm playing it.
Yeah,
but I appreciate the fact that this game can be a 10 out of 10 because it has this heart and this soul, and it's just puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. It's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. It's fucking Shrek the video game. That there is just so much to it that how could it not be a 10 out of 10? It's just, it really depends on the moment, to be honest with you.
See if I get to room 46 and Shrek's behind it, man. That's about 10 immediately.
I'm telling you, that's the biggest secret. There's just going to be a picture of Shrek. Or the Duloc song comes on when you open up one of the boxes.
Oh,
there you go.
11 out of 10.
Take it to the bank. But you know, it's just I sometimes go off on tangents and forget what I'm talking about. And I've now brought up Shrek. It's all I can think about.
Let me tag in here and let you refocus and recenter. But I totally agree with you. You know, like it's the endless reminder that beauty is in the eye of the beholder ultimately, and how an experience makes you feel depends only on yourself. And that's where the discussion blossoms, which is that really it should be the part that we enjoy most. Unfortunately, online it doesn't always turn out that way. I've got my theory. I'll share with you in a moment. But a review, I always look at it. It's not an answer to a question. It's a subjective assessment of somebody's feelings and opinions, and often you can take a wide sample of all those critical opinions to use it to average out and make your own purchasing decision. Now, there is the other aspect of game reviews. They can be also viewed essentially as a product review. So essentially, you're giving your opinion on the game, both as a product and a piece of art. And that's ultimately that could influence somebody's purchasing decision. So there is like a weight of responsibility to it as well. It's something to consider. So, what I would say is best advice is find somebody whose taste that you share and lean on them for that guidance, or just as that voice, a tastemaker almost out there, Scott. Somebody needs to find them. And if you're not sure, ultimately the only review that matters is your own. The big question I have though for you, Scott, but no, before I ask it, what were you going to say?
No, that's it. That is it though. It's just you are the only reviewer that really matters on it. Like, you like apples, I like oranges. If you tell me that pink lady apples are the best apples, and let's be honest, they fucking are. If you tell me that pink lady apples are the best apples, and I'm going to go online and be like, no, they're fucking no. This guy's a complete fanny because he likes pink lady apples. What a fucking donkey. It's like, what good does that get anyone? But
it's the celebrations paradox. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Snickers are the worst in a celebration. I'll have an army of people on me. And
well, they are. They really are, though.
Terrible.
Snickers are and Bounties as well. Bounties do not deserve to be in any sweet box.
I'd take a Bounty over a Snickers every day. See, this is it though. This is
if you are an enjoyer of Bounties, then you should have a fucking Bounty put on your head.
No, I'm not eating.
Not the sweet. However,
imagine that. Too far.
Just like what was I going to say? It is just, and it's worse. It's just to sort of end this point with this, right? But it's worse with games that are like sequels, for example, like A Last of Us Part 3, for example. Now, there are going to be people in the world that are literally going to be, crying in their beds to the fact that there's going to be a Last of Us Part 3, right? I'm trying not to say shit their pants because I've said it a lot, but I've just said it there. But they're literally going to be, dying for this game to come out. And if an IGN reporter or someone at Kind of Funny was to shit on that game, it's almost as if, the entire internet is now going to be against them. Like, this whole review culture on the internet is just ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you can't not like anything. The fact that you put that down in writing. It was like when Greg Miller in Paris gave Indiana Jones a bad review.
Yeah.
And everyone just went fucking ape shit about that. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
That's
especially because, it's Indiana Jones and, but
that's a really good example though. The Indiana Jones games, like these polarizing moments come out. I mean, I say not even polarizing, but you do get a little bit more of a skew. On the whole, most game reviews are always sitting round about a couple of points average, but it's always really fascinating because it'll happen again when Death Stranding come out. You're going to get the 9s and 10s, but you are going to get the people out there with the 6s and all that just for that reason. And I've got a theory to float with you on that though, because there's that online toxicity element there when it comes to review scores, and ultimately it's like why it doesn't matter. Well, I say the review score doesn't matter. That what does matter is people acting out of turn over what is somebody's subjective opinion. The Last of Us 2 nearly broke us, and then the discourse that followed it after that. Probably not so much the review, but you're right. Part 3 comes out, it's going to be fucking exhausting because it's a target. I would actually say anybody that dares give that game a 10, I mean, if you get handed it, it's like, Scott, you're reviewing Last of Us Part 3, you'd be like, am I? Because I don't want my inviting this heat, but I think it's all opinion at the end of the day. This is why it doesn't matter. But gamers online, I think some can put too much stock into scores. I feel, and especially given the hype-led. This is my theory: the hype-led nature of the gaming community. Let's be honest, we're all very guilty of being victim to the pre-release hype and a perfect target for marketing at the end of the day. And how often do we see it? A game you like the look of, you cheerlead after being bombarded with glitzy trailers and hype, only for it to release and the release has arrived and it's getting low scores. That defense mindset on something you've not experienced, I feel, is kind of rooted in the kind of following the. It's kind of rooted in this kind of falling for the charm of the marketing and effective marketing. It's not nice to have that feeling of maybe backing or shouting about a dud online. So folk go in the defence to hide their own disappointment, I feel. And I find it fascinating because this is only just a theory, right? This is absolutely crackpot time for me today. But like anything, I take anything that you see and hear online with a pinch of salt. Even me right now, my advice is still the same. Find that creator that tastes match your own and trust them if you want to. Consume media. Don't harass people in the games media space and just chill out. We're all just trying to give personal opinion and it's always sincere. And I should also add, sadly, no, you don't get paid money for good reviews or any review. I'm afraid to let those people down.
It would be great, but no, it doesn't happen.
You've got to let these people know that the earth is also round. I hate to tell them, but that's what they probably believe.
What was I going to say there? The inverse also applies to what you're saying, though, is that find a good creator and listen, with a pinch of salt to what they're saying, but also form your own opinions before you've even decided, because I fell into the trap last year with Dragon's Dogma 2. Listening to all the review scores and thought, this looks fucking excellent. Like, I'm all about this. And then it literally turned into one of the worst fucking video games that I think I've ever played in my life. Any opportunity that I get to shit on Dragon's Dogma 2, I'm doing it because it's fucking pish.
The greatest hater.
Oh my God, it's the worst. But that's the thing, though, is that you get caught up on, this game's an absolute 10 out of 10 experience. Like, it's like, right, okay, for you it was, but how is it going to be for me? And that was the biggest biggest learning curve that I've had in the last year was Dragon's Dogma. That is the moment that, the straw that broke the camel's back for me.
Yeah.
When it came to reviews and actually kind of forming my own opinion on it. So that's the sort of inverse of what you're saying, but it still applies, Take everything what people are saying with a pinch of salt. Except for, Dragon's Dogma 2 is shite.
Scott will come for you.
True. That is true.
I think to kind of sum all this up, though, when it comes to like what makes a 10 out of 10 for us, and I think when I think about I still approach reviewing the game the same way, but I do take into account our audience. I think for me, I take that into consideration just how a game may fit into a busy life. And whilst I won't mark a game down for being 80 plus hours long, because I actually think that sounds appealing to a lot of our audience. It's about kind of guiding the listeners if there's something to take into consideration, so it's like, this game is long. You're going to spend a lot of time with it. Or maybe this game really demands a lot of intense play or learning the gameplay mechanics of it really well. So if it's like, say Sekiro 2 came out or something like that, you'd be like, you're going to have to spend a bit of time to get in the groove with it. It's not something you can play in short bursts and then move on. They can obviously be barriers to somebody with a very busy life. But I think that's not unique to just ourselves, but it is something, if I'm being honest, I bear in mind, which is, right, if a game's a 10 for me, I'm saying it's a 10, but I also then have there's also something else to consider. It's like I've had a 10 out of 10 experience, but I am probably not representative of a lot of more casual gamers out there that might be within our listener group as well. And it is just something that I just bear in mind. I feel that responsibility to them, Scott, is what I'm trying to say. Just if it's something I say, like it's a 100-hour game, some might balk at it. If you're a psychopath like me, it's like, that sounds good because I'm getting banged from a bucket of that, So it just depends. It really does just depend. But yeah, a very, very fascinating chat. But I think it was a very apt time to discuss it because in the presence of such glowing reviews for Clair Obscur Expedition.
In the presence of greatness.
The presence of greatness, Scott.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Exactly. And it is just, don't get swept up in it all. It's easy to get swept up.
Exactly. It's not the end of the world if a game that you're looking forward to doesn't really get the scores you're after. But on that note, I think it's time for the Pixel Picks Showdown, where each week we each pick a game from our chosen theme and decide which one deserves to live on in the hallowed Pixel Picks list, which is our definitive list of the best games we recommend and pass on to the next generation of gamers. So last week's theme was sequel game, with Metal Gear Solid 2 Guns of the Patriots becoming the latest addition to the list. And in this week's showdown, we're debating what best post-apocalyptic game we think should feature on the Pixel Picks list.
Yeah. All makes sense now. End of the world chat. He actually stopped me from speaking there so he could do it as well. So
masterful segue moment had to happen.
Unreal.
Of course, last week's winner goes last, Scott. So that'll be yourself this week. So I will go first. We'll kick things off.
You're a purveyor of post-apocalyptic games, I believe.
It's true, you know. I'm totally pessimistic, nihilistic at best of times. You know what I'm like. So yeah, it's a genre that it's a style of game, it's a setting of game that I'm very familiar with. But I've got two picks here. One you probably would expect and one not so. And my honourable mention, which I'll kick things off because I wanted to, because I thought, do you know what? I'd have to give it its flowers because it presented a very different and very real feeling apocalypse to us. And honourable mention this week is going to go to Tom Clancy's The Division, because I think it deserves a shout out just because of the world alone, to be honest with you. Like the whole dollar flu premise, wiping out New York City and all that, it felt real, it felt grounded and refreshingly away from the usual zombie pish. You know, plus I enjoyed it at the time. You know, it just didn't have the legs. You know, it's not something that's like I can keep going back to. It didn't slot into my life in the way that would have been realistic. But at the time, it was a cool extraction shooter. Had things like the Dart Zone and all that within there. It was a cool extraction shooter before they became catnip for investors and they're ramming it down their throat now. And the same goes for Division 2 in the Washington, but I had to give the Division because I think, you know, in terms of the world building and the vibe that it's trying to give in terms of a post-apocalyptic setting, yeah, I think this is one of the finer ones you could go if you're kind of looking for that vibe in a video game. But my pick this week, Scott, and I did think ages about it because I had to look at the list because, you know, listen, you know, The Last of Us could have been a pick on here for me, right? I was like, nah, slam dunk, but we can't because it's already on the list. So I'm having to dig deep, really dig deep and think about, right, what's interesting this week? It's probably more setting focused, vibe focused, as opposed to a genre. You know, you can't say post-apocalyptic's a genre of game. It's more to do with the setting. For me, my pick this week is going to be Fallout 3, which is the best Fallout game. And I'm looking at you, Brown Vegas. So, granted, of course, it needs a facelift these days, right? And that's already been the pattern after the Oblivion remaster, which fully behind. But in terms of, you know, a game which would deliver that post-apocalyptic vibe and setting, I would recommend that this embodies everything that you're looking for and is inherently a good game. You know, I would stand by that to the day I die. But, you know, this is definitely a 9 out of 10 game for me. I can't see past it. I think it still set the bar in terms of what to expect from an apocalypse setting in modern times. Exploring that capital wasteland and meeting or fighting the weird and warped inhabitants is a very engrossing experience with lots of memorable moments you'll have in there. And the world is just rich and deep with lore. And it's something that's impressive considering that Bethesda, this wasn't their baby to begin with. You know, they picked the ball up and they turned it into taking it in that Bethesda mold, and it was something that was so addicting to play. You know, that gameplay introduction as well, of the VAT system, there's just endless hours of content in here, and I'm thinking post-apocalyptic, all I can see is the Brotherhood of Steel helmet just staring me in the face. That's all I'm thinking about, and there's something about Fallout that's so uniquely Fallout. And Fallout 3, I think, yeah, I can't pick 4 over it because it was just kind of more of the same. Looks better, but I feel that Fallout 3 just had, coming back to a little je ne sais quoi about it, you know, something about that. So, yeah, that's my pick this week, Scott. So let me have it. Because I know what you're going to pick, and I'm going to bat it down with a nuclear ton bomb here. So let's.
Oh my god!
I know.
Man picks fucking Fallout 3 and expects me not to be unhappy about it. Sorry, I had to put myself on mute for a moment because Minnie has decided that now is the perfect moment for water, and to go and eat all our food. So, I mean, if you hear her munching in the background, then enjoy that. You know, you get to live the dog experience with me. However, for my honourable mention, and I think this is possibly the game that you think that I'm going to actually pick for this week. But I'm not a big post-apocalyptic person. I think that it's a bit of a bit of a pain in the arse, but
bit of a downer.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sad moment. But for me, if I'm going to pick an honourable mention, it's going to be one that I think is going to annoy you. And my honourable mention for this week is actually, it is the best Fallout game with Fallout New Vegas.
Oh, for the love of God.
I know that you hate it. Or maybe not hate it, but I know you don't like it as much as the others. But Fallout New Vegas is fucking phenomenal. Setting, storyline, characters, everything is better than any other Fallout game. And I'll stand by that. Now, this is coming from someone who arguably has never finished the game. And hasn't done anything more than maybe a few hours in the game, but it's one of those games where I've always wanted to go back and finish, and I've tried to recently. And you speak about the Bethesda mold, and that mold is fucking hard wearing because it's still churning out fucking pish all these years later. So I mean, I'm sorry for getting so angry about it, but Fallout's fucking dross. I'm so sorry, everyone. If you're a Fallout fan, the TV show is the best thing to happen to Fallout, but everything else, throw it in the bin. Get it over and done with.
You're teeing this up, and you're about to tee it up with your pick, which I would argue is a totally worst game experience. I know it's coming, but I can't say it. I can't even write it down in a bit of paper or something.
I honestly can't even think about what game you think I'm going to say.
All right, well, hit me with it, because if I'm wrong, you're going to be like that. I should have picked that. That's what I think is going to happen.
Well, I'm now sad about that. But no, my pick for this week is actually your honourable mention with The Division.
Really?
Tom Clancy's The Division. I think it does everything that I would want a post-apocalyptic game to do.
No way.
You spoke about the viral outbreak, the flu, stuff like that. I think it's not outlandish. It's all the adverts and stuff like that and the intros for it and the lead up to the actual game itself. It's grounded in this serious tone that, maybe not could happen, but it makes sense. Like it's saying, all your coins are killing you. All your money's killing you. And it's like, fuck, I need to start burning it all.
Apple Pay.
Aye. It's like, the fact that, the recreation of Manhattan, like walking through that city with you and like working our way through the whole place was just excellent. Like it was so cool.
Why did we stop playing that? Was it just like we had something to move on to?
Probably just other games, aye. Like I just remember having so much fun with it. Like it was me, you, and our dearly departed friend who played it. And I'm
not going to think he's actually dead. He's not dead.
He's not. But it's just like it's all the things that are done really well, like the Dark Zone and stuff like that as well. Like I kind of having to extract from that. It really gave everyone who maybe hasn't played, extraction shooters and stuff like that in the past. It really gave them a flavour for that. And I think it did it in a really, really cool way that even now I've still got hunger to go back and play The Division. Like The Division 2 was excellent as well, but I just didn't like the setting of it. I felt like the first one was really, really well done.
We should do that.
And it's not, with I'm totally interrupting you here because I've got this thought in my head, but remember what you say in 2 seconds, right? But I think that your immediate thought when you think about post-apocalyptic, you're talking about The Last of Us, you're talking about, Fallout, all these weird fucking mad monsters that are literally going to kill you. But this isn't about monsters, it's just about people who are struggling to survive. And that is such an interesting thread to pull on, and that it's not about societal collapse because of nuclear devastation and everyone's now radiated and pish, and you've managed to spin off a million games in that genre. It's about just how horrible human beings are when their backs are at the wall. And I think that that's so cool. And see when it was brought out, like it was supported really well. Like it felt like, you had loads of updates and stuff like that were coming with it. And it also, it also had like all your sort of your usual tropes of post-apocalyptic stuff where you had like your audio logs and you had all these files that told you about the past and stuff as well. So it did everything that you would expect from a single player experience, but you could play that with your mates. And it was brilliant. Like, I just remember wanting to go back in and play it constantly. Like, it was an excellent time. And it was one of those, coming back to it, it's maybe not a 10 out of 10 game, but it was a 10 out of 10 experience in terms of we had an excellent time playing that game. We really did.
Yeah.
And it's just sad that, we all fell off from it, and extraction shooters are now for weird people. But, long live Marathon when it comes out. But,
I'll be weak
it's
for
just, it really did feel like a slam dunk on this, because the minute we thought about Post-Apocalyptic, it was the first game that I thought of. If you think I'm going to pick like a Death Stranding or something like that.
It was. I thought you were going to pick Death Stranding.
Nah, I don't really view Death Stranding as post-apocalyptic. I don't know what I view that as. I mean, suppose you could pick it, but it wasn't really first on my list. It was The Division. I genuinely do think that that's such a grounded experience in terms of what it tries to do. And it also, and a complete tangent here, I know we're going long on this, so I'm really sorry for you listening to this, but it really does. Some of the best parts of The Last of Us are not the clickers and the bloaters and stuff like that. It's the human character interplay and the way that they all work together. And that's what The Division done so well, is that they all have stakes, and everything. You going out there for, maybe a few hours really could turn into absolute shit at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it really did. It was excellent. So The Division Part 1 was my choice for this week.
I didn't see it coming. I genuinely was like, he's going to pick Death Stranding, so I was like, don't pick Death Stranding because he's going to pick it. Because I want to zhuzh it up a little bit, which is good. This is the phase 2 of the Pixel Picks Showdown is going to give us more of these moments since our first. In fact, every week it's had to be like a proper debate. I see what you mean. Hand on heart, I do think Fallout 3 is a better game than Division. That's the only thing that's holding it back for me. It's like, and they're two different sides of an apocalypse as well. Like, obviously they're both sci-fi, etc., but they're both very enjoyable for different reasons, and very strong candidates for that reason. Because the Division, what was so engrossing about it is the fact that it feels like it's something that could happen very easily. It wasn't like the most engrossing. It was a better experience with friends than it was a game. That's probably what I would say. As my argument, dear sir. Fallout 3, granted, it's like it might not be personally your cup of tea because it's like Bethesda games. You've like grown more allergic to Bethesda games the older you've gotten. I remember back in the day and you played really Skyrim, funny. Loving it, but it's like now I get it because it's like they haven't changed. So it's
just they haven't. They never have. And see, since playing the Oblivion remaster, I now understand that they never will change. Like looking at Starfield, the next Elder Scrolls game is just going to be the exact same fucking bullshit that I've played before. It's like, Todd, come on, mate. I can only say it so many times,
But why should? That's the thing. Why should they? Because if I look at games. Let me see as an example. I mean, Kojima isn't one because he'll actually try and change it, but his through line is weird. If you take any like I don't know, next Bayonetta game comes out, next Platinum game comes out, and it's the same style, and it's like they should change it up.
There's only 4 of them though. If they're going to make another one, there's only 4 of them.
That's what I mean. No, but it's like we put
every game since Fallout 3. Honestly, whack a new fucking coat of paint on it, and it is the exact same. It's so annoying. Like it's total shit. No, but it's so pish.
I don't wonder. It's like wondering at McDonald's asking for a pizza. You know what I mean? We can't just put these changes on them all the time.
I know, but McDonald's might bring out a new chicken wrap every so often that throw things out in the menu. You know what I mean? Or a McSpicy. They change a few things.
A chicken legend to bring that back.
Aye, Bethesda are allergic to fucking innovation. The thing that I will say about it is that I do agree that The Division is maybe not the strongest video game. With Fallout 3, it's very tied into what it wants to be. It's almost like BioShock in that way, is that it goes down that route of This is what it wants to present itself as, and it does it. Now, I can't speak for Fallout 3 for anyone because I've maybe played it I've played the opening to it when you're a baby. Is it when you're a baby and your dad's picking you up and all that shit?
Big Liam Neeson.
Is that Liam Neeson? That's probably why it's acted so fucking terribly. That man peaked at that taken fucking dialogue, and then you can just go and piss off. However, that's all I remember from that game. Genuinely, I couldn't tell you what happens in it. I couldn't tell you any of the story beats because the only ones that I do remember, Fallout New Vegas. Come on now,
honestly,
you've got the fucking the casinos and all that shit. You've got all the mad robots. You've got all the different factions and stuff like that and play on there. Fallout New Vegas is a considerably better experience. I cannot say Fallout 3 because I think, they're all the same, but I did enjoy New Vegas better.
I disagree. And I know it's like New Vegas is the hipster choice for me personally because it's a bit like, try to think of a music comparison here. It's a bit like somebody coming to saying they preferred like Megadeth over Metallica, and it's like you just know that's a blatant fucking lie. You just know it's a lie. But it's one of those things. Like if I look at both of them and played both of them, it is like Division might be a better social experience post-apocalyptic game than Fallout 3 is just a tighter, just post-apocalyptic game you could play on your own. That's all I've really got to split it at this point. I will give it over to yourself. Does he wish to debut?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I wish that I had more experience with Fallout 3 so I can be like, this is my rebuttal. But I just don't. Like I just don't anything with Fallout 3. That's my whole opinion of it. I just don't anything because it's just not a game series that I enjoy. Whereas with the Division, it's arguably a game series that I probably should not enjoy, but I still long for the days of the Division. I really do.
It was good days.
They were, and maybe the secret to getting to me to enjoy, maybe the secret to getting me to enjoy Fallout is playing it with yourself on Fallout 76. Maybe that's the way that I do it.
There's
and you shepherd me through. You shepherd me through fucking what is it? West Virginia. You shepherd me through that. I only remember it because of country roads. To be honest with you, I don't have any thoughts on this. I'm willing to concede. I'm willing to take the victory on it. I honestly do not care about post-apocalyptic world. What I can say is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've thought about this a lot. But will you make the decision on this if you want to use the coin or do you want to use something else? It's entirely up to yourself.
Let's go for a coin because then it adds a little bit of spice to it.
I reckon I would probably be the worst person on Earth during a post-apocalyptic. I think I would just die first. Like I'd be the first person to die. I reckon I'd be total shite at it.
My wife says that all the time. She's like, "What's the point? You know what I mean? Just shoot yourself in the head.
Why live? Just die." What I would say, that's the. Would you want to go, heads or tails?
I will go tails again.
Tails wins it. You win it.
Wins it. Okay. Well, congratulations then to Fallout 3. You are the latest addition on the Pixel Picks list under post-apocalyptic game. Always contentious.
Boo, Todd Howard, boo.
I know. Wait till you see next week's one. That's going to be an absolute stoter as well because it's no easy picks ahead here. No easy picks ahead. But of course, that does bring us to the end of this week's podcast. So thank you once again for joining us. And if you like what you hear and you enjoy the podcast, leave a wee 5-star review. It helps us out and it makes a big difference. So Scott, it's test time. Where can people find you online if they wish to engage with you?
You can come see me slinging abuse at Randy Pitchford on lamaman.bsky.social. The Borderlands 4 stuff's just gone up on the PlayStation blog, so I'll be avoiding that like the plague. Yeah. Where can they find you, Mr. Liam?
They can find me online at carmelite.bsky.social, and yeah, I'll be on there not talking about Borderlands 4 as well. Thank you, of course, to our producer and music man, the talented and handsome Mr. Sean Murray. Please do go give him some big nasty love check out his work on Instagram at barehandsdesigns and barehandsdesigns.com as well. He's got some fantastic stuff up there. And I'm not just saying that because he's one of my good friends. He really is such a talented man. And of course, you can listen to the next episode on all major podcast platforms and follow us on Blue Sky at pixelparents.bsky.social. And of course, you can write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com with your thoughts, opinions, and what makes a 10 out of 10 game for you. I'd love to know. But until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and thanks for listening.
Fuck Randy Pitchford.